So, for those that are just joining the conversation, we're talking about The Accidental Leader, a book recently written by my brother, Paulo.
Hey!
And this is part 3.
Yeah.
So, we've considered the old system
Yes.
and we've made way for the accidental leader. Describe for us, how does the accidental leader lead?
So the core traits of an accidental leader are they emerge unexpectedly from the margins. We kind of talked about this. There's a moment of tension, and the moment of tension exposes the person who's actually carrying the weight. They're shaped by necessity and also moral reckoning. I think of in this particular instance, I think of someone like in the book I talked about Oscar Romero. Oscar Romero was an archbishop in South America, and he was the archbishop at a time when there was a lot of political upheaval in his country, and he had been sent there. So, interestingly, the Catholic Church has its own leadership pipeline that it has been creating for thousands
Millennia.
and thousands of years.
Yes.
And it creates a certain kind. Catholic priests have a certain whatever. They don't tend to be politically motivated, marching in the streets, blah, blah, blah. But Oscar Romero is archbishop at a time when there's a lot of political upheaval. And then his friend gets assassinated. That assassination is a moment of reckoning. So sometimes an accidental leader is actually someone who's been in the pipeline, in the leadership pipeline, and then they jump out. Something forces them out. In this case, in Oscar Romero's situation, it was his friend getting assassinated. And so then he starts to speak out. He starts to speak on behalf of the people. He starts to tell the military leaders to stop obeying unlawful orders. And he helps to contribute to a political movement. He becomes so threatening to the powers that be that they walked into a service on Sunday and they shot him dead.
Yeah.
But that's a point of moral reckoning. So they are shaped by necessity or moral reckoning. They're not formed by formal pipelines. That goes without saying. If they're accidental, if they're accidental to the usual pipeline, then they're not formed by that. And then the last thing is in my opinion, they tend to resist power hoarding, and they plan for the release or they let it go. When they feel they've done their work, they're like, I'm done. So like if you think of our neighbors to the south, Tanzania, they had their elder statesman Julius Nyerere, and he was in power he was president.
Years, I think.
Yes, 23, 24 years. He came in with a philosophy of leadership. He came in with some socialist, communist ideas. Yes, to build a nation. Some of them worked, some of them didn't work. He lived through criticism and whatever, but then he reached a moment and he's like, okay, I'm done. It's time to hand it over. It's time to let it go. You'll notice that that tends to be a way that accidental leaders move. So they emerge unexpectedly from the margins. They're shaped by necessity and moral reckoning. They're not formed by formal pipelines. And because they're not formed by formal pipelines, because they're not put into leadership way of thinking and whatever, that tends to concentrate and consolidate power. They're more willing to let it go. It's actually one of another critique that I have in the book of leadership pipelines, and it's something that we talked about off camera, is how the model of leadership that we see is one about consolidating, about controlling and consolidating power.
Yes.
And so if you are brought up in a system like that, and if you are mentored by that, or if that is what you watch, and you either desire or you're being groomed to be in a position like that, you end up doing the same thing. You end up consolidating.
Yes. And sometimes even more tightly, right?
Yes, and holding on to it more tightly. And it inadvertently creates big or little or simulated autocracies. And accidental leaders tend to not do that.
Wow.
Yes.
So, then talk about succession in that whole mix.
Yes.
Because if they come, do what they need to do,
Yes.
and let go,
Yes.
where the old system has, yes, a clear, this is how you go from step A to step B, this is the succession pipeline.
Yes.
How does succession happen
Yes.
in a situation of accidental leaders?
So this is where I start to veer into what some people think of as naive thinking. Because I'm a huge advocate for distributed systems. Because in distributed systems where you put decision making and authority and whatever close to the people, close to the situations or the people that are impacted by your decisions, not up here in the Eiffel Tower, but down where the people actually are, then it's easier to move from one leader to another, because the power is not consolidated up at the
Upward
top, it
and
is
one.
distributed.
Yes.
It is considered to be naive thinking in our day and age, especially at a time of rapid change, because it requires a slow and more considered way of making decisions
Yep.
and of moving through whatever. I haven't yet even reached succession.
Yes.
Because if you have one almighty authority at the top that makes decisions and decrees that everybody has to snap to attention for, then that's considered to be a more nimble way of moving through the world. In fact, I would say that some of the organizations, companies, movements that we have right now in the world are done in direct, because we emerged from, as humanity, we actually emerged from distributed systems. This sort of capitalist strongman person at the top, that's a new invention.
Interesting.
That's a new invention for humanity, where all the decisions are concentrated in one person, in one brain.
Almost for all time,
Yes.
right? Or until death.
Until death do us part with the person.
Right.
That's a modern invention. But I understand the instinct to lean
I
towards
can now
it.
even understand why the coup then becomes a way of,
Yes.
because you have to remove this thing that is
Yes. Yeah. The coup becomes a way of removing the consolidated power.
violently. Yeah.
Yes. So, yes, it's a necessity. We are in a fast-paced world. Someone has to make decisions quickly.
Yeah.
Someone has to move quickly and break things and take the responsibility for it, if they're that kind of person.
Yes.
Or tell that one's responsible. Anyway, that's a whole other thing. Distributed systems move slower. They require you to consult with other people. They require you to consult downwards, and to have people downwards challenge authority upwards and say, we think you're wrong because you do not see what we're actually doing down here. You do not have our perspective. Yes. So, like, again, off camera, we were talking about, for example, the conversations that we're having, as the conversations that are being having in that are being had in the not-for-profit space between donors and recipients of donations. It's like, yes, we're thankful for your benevolence and for your soft diplomacy that comes in the way of donations, but you're not here. So for you to dictate how the money that you send to us gets used is a little bit short-sighted, because you are not close to the impact.
Yes, absolutely.
So what does that look like, for example, in a bank? Does the bank manager know more about his clients than the bank teller?
No.
No.
And it's interesting,
Yes.
Paulo, when you say that what that the higher you go, in fact, the more removed
Yes.
you are, or maybe you're moved to different.
Yes.
So maybe you're not seeing the bank teller, you're seeing somebody else.
Yes.
Yeah, but yeah, it's that interesting thing. And so
Yes.
if you want the distributed type of
The distributed
leadership to
type of
happen,
yes.
yes, keep pushing it down.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. So there's organizations all over the world that have experimented with this. There's Mondragon Corporation that started in Spain, and they've been running a distributed leadership model for decades now. And everything is done in these small cooperatives. They don't have a single head of Mondragon. And so what ends up happening, for example, is if a cooperative goes off and does a thing and it doesn't work, they can come back and say it didn't work, and these other cooperatives can absorb them back in. And say, okay, let's try something new. And it's not a small corporation.
Yes,
it's a corporation of tens of thousands of people with millions and millions of dollars or whatever. You can see it even in other companies like the company that makes Gore. It was started by A.L. Gore. The name is not coming to me right now. But he was in another company that had a single head at the top. When he started his company, he's like, no, I'm going to do it differently. We're going to distribute leadership in the organization or the company. There's not going to be one leader, one head. We're going to be cooperatives that interact, that cooperate.
Yes.
But it does slow down decision making. It
So
does
we have
slow
to
down
be
the
ready
pace of
for
whatever.
that part.
And you have to retrain your instincts for
To not snap back.
collaboration. Yes. You have to retrain your instincts for collaboration. One of the most fascinating things that I discovered as I was researching this book was the Haudenosaunee Nation. It was birthed out of a bunch of warring tribes in North America long before colonialists arrived in North America. There were these tribes that were warring with each other, and in order to bring about peace with each other, they had to sit and come up with a new way of governing themselves. And so they came up with the tribes have matriarchs. The matriarchs then appoint chiefs who serve for a limited amount of time. Decisions are not made unless there is consensus. And they speak in language that is slow and deliberate. Now, when something like that first starts, if you've been in a system that's fast and all the decisions are made by one person, and every time they make it, whatever the whim is, how they had breakfast, that's how you snap to attention. If you've optimized for that kind of organization, it can be very difficult to go to a distributed system where leadership is held for limited amount of time and where it's held equally by a bunch of people. You have to retrain your instincts to go, no, if we want to move fast, we have to build consensus. If we want to move with speed, we have to make sure that everyone is bored, everyone understands what needs to be done. That's a completely different way of leadership. We need to get buy-in from so-and-so, from all these constituents and whatever. And the crazy thing is that the leadership language of now has all that language built inside of it. We can say all the right things. We need consensus, we need this, we need that. But when you actually look at the practice of it, it somehow tends to still be about a single person consolidating power and all of us using the right language of leadership. So you have to actually live it out in practice is a completely different way of doing things. So it has to be distributed. It has to be held for short time. It can't be held for perpetuity. And you have to have room for people to make mistakes and to try things.
Yes. And then finally, you talk about how it's not perfect either. It's just see things differently because leaders emerge differently. Yes. And you also say that in order to even start to see those kinds of leaders, we need to I think you said change the architecture of opportunity.
Yes.
But also make the cultural shifts.
Yes.
that enable accidental not to be accidental.
Yes.
Yeah, so I'm just thinking about it as a leader right now. I'm thinking, okay, Paul, I hear you.
Yeah.
And I want to try something.
Yeah.
But whoosh.
But and part of what's sabotaging us right now. I didn't talk about it in the book because I feel like everyone's talking about it. But part of what's sabotaging us in this day and age is we have a celebrity-driven culture. Or a wannabe celebrity-driven culture. Everybody is one viral moment away from being famous. And we don't understand sort of the pressure that puts on society, and the poison that puts in the water of leadership. And so we tend to not overcorrect. What's the word? We tend to overvalue people who look and sound the part, inadvertently. And it's, some of the big reckonings that we're having the world over, for example, is that for a long time leadership has come shaped as a tall man.
Tall white man it used to be.
A tall white man. For example, the US has never had a president that's under 6 feet tall. They've had one black man, and he was
also
tall.
Yes.
They cannot conceive of leadership as a short-statured person.
In fact, I started reading parts of Nancy Pelosi's book, and that's part of what she mentioned, right? That I come in as a short woman.
Yes, she's a short woman.
Short, tiny woman.
Who packs a punch.
Right.
But yes, even just physical attributes.
Yeah.
We now let's say we're
Go
more
back to the story of when they were looking for a king in the times of the
Bible.
my
gosh, in the Bible,
and
yes.
There was this leader shape.
Yes. They wanted a leader. They said whatever, blah, blah, blah. Saul in the Bible, he was a head taller than everyone. He was a leader shape. And the funniest thing about, I once preached a sermon about this. Allow me to go on this tangent.
Yes.
So Saul becomes the king of Egypt.
Of
Israel. Saul becomes the king of Israel. Oh my gosh. I preached a sermon about this and I don't even know what he was the king of. Saul becomes the king of Israel.
Yes.
Israelites are having beef with not the Palestinians, the Philistines.
Yes.
The Philistines send their champion of war, their Goliath.
Yes.
He goes in front of the Israelite army and calls them out. He calls out their champion. Send your champion. Who's their champion? Who's their Goliath?
It's Saul.
Saul is their Goliath.
And he's hiding.
Saul hides. In the moment that he was selected for.
Is not when he shows up.
No.
Wow.
So a shepherd boy has to come and do his work for him.
So which is what you're saying.
Yes.
Right there.
David is an accidental leader. It's a moment of tension.
Because even when the prophet goes to the family, who do they first present?
Yes.
The shape.
They present another Goliath. So even David's bigger brothers who are bigger, their soul reloaded. So Samuel goes, hey, Saul failed. Let's find another Saul.
Yes.
So Saul, this one is a Saul shape. This one is another Saul shape. He's big, he's strong, he's muscled, whatever. When we go and meet another Goliath, this one will be the one.
Right.
And it's like, no, none of those. And Goliath is there. None of David's brothers step up.
Yeah.
Because they're Goliaths too.
Yeah.
Saul does not step up. David goes and he's like, what's happening here? Why is this uncircumcised Philistine taunting us? He's like, look, all of you are Goliaths here. Why don't you go out there and do something? And they don't. So he then says, okay, I'll go do it. And if you think about it, like,
and he's very does not fit the script.
No.
That's why he's not even he's even forgotten.
Yes.
Oh boy.
Yes. Sorry, we went on this tangent.
No, but to bring it back to where we are now, is you're saying that we still fall for that.
Yes, we do. It is so seductive, and even in situations where we have managed to break our thinking out of physical attributes, we still overvalue vibes, how they make us feel. The charisma. The charisma, the sense of comfort they give us that they're at the wheel.
Yeah.
And so if there's someone who's a little more circumspect, if there's someone who's quieter, if there's someone who asks a lot of questions, all those things are unsettling.
Yeah.
And so we don't code that in our minds as this could be
the leader,
a potential leader,
or a leader. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Much to think about, leaders, don't you think?
Yes.
This is mind-blowing. So we'll let this settle here and sink in, and maybe close this by asking, do you know your tendency to only see leaders as a certain thing, a certain type, a certain way, or are you making room for distributed leadership that could look like anything?
Yes.
And anyone?
Yes.
And as they say, right, we're pointing, but the three fingers are also, I'm asking those same questions of myself.
Yeah, me too.